Morning, Richard.
Good morning, Jorge. How are you?
Very good. And how are you?
I'm great. Thank you for having me here.
Very, very welcome. I know you've done a lot of interesting stuff already with Leela Life, so I'd love to hear about your take on all of that.
Sure.
We'll get into it one by one. So let's talk about the beginning, right? How did you discover the salon, and how was that experience?
I found the salon through the website, actually, and did a little bit of research and information on that. And it felt like a natural fit just reading the website. And I've been in personal development and been interested in that for a very long time. And Leela Life really felt like a good fit, at least with the salon. And what I liked about the salons is that the groups are very small, maybe about a dozen people. So everyone there was participating,
Right.
which is what I like, because sometimes when you go into similar groups, you're sort of one of 50 or maybe 100 people, and you don't really get a chance to chit chat and to meet the people who are going to be sitting alongside you for this.
Right.
And it was, that intimacy was really eye-opening. And having the opportunity to just sit and listen to other people, to listen to you as you explained Indic well-being knowledge, there was a very calming atmosphere with it, which I really appreciated.
Yeah. That's very interesting because so when I started this, I debated with, what's the kind of right size for this. And I think we've arrived at that, like somewhere between 8 and 12 as the right size, for the simple reason that it tends to get into a real conversation.
It does. It gives everybody a chance to participate. It gives everybody a chance to learn from each other as well. And they bring their experiences and knowledge to this, and also their curiosity about what Leela Life is and how it can help them improve their lives.
I love the questions. And sometimes the questions are, come from everybody's context, which is very, very different often. Personal context, very different. But also some of them challenge the knowledge, and that's wonderful because that gives an opportunity to sort of showcase the totality of the knowledge.
It does, and I remember the time I was in the salon, and I had a question. It really spoke to my skepticism about Leela Life, and was it really all that was cracked up to be? And in your handling of my question, it put my mind at ease. It's very easy to walk into these things being very skeptical and coming out of it just not wanting to have your mind changed and not being ready for that. And I think I was ready for that, and the way that you answered my question really helped me put my mind at ease with the process.
Yeah, and I love that because these questions and these challenges and and the skepticism itself, I think for me, they're all indicators of deep interest and a desire to really know. Because people come in with either a checked out view or I'm already sold view, neither of which really works as well as I find it interesting, but I want to really know. That gives me an opportunity to get into the nuance of it, to the depth of it. And hopefully it works. I mean, really.
I think it does, because in the salons you have that space for questioning, and everyone brings their life experience to these sessions, and it really, in the way that you process these questions, it really helps us come to ease with what's happening, what this could be for us, and I really appreciate that.
This is interesting because very early in the process, somebody asked me, how will you convert people who don't know any of this to your point of view? And I said, my intention is not even bother of that. I'm not trying to convert anybody. I just happen to be, in a lineage that has access to this knowledge, and so I'm going to just put the knowledge out there, hopefully in a language that is easy for people to access that knowledge. And the knowledge has stood the test of time over thousands of years. So it's not that I'm doing anything more. I'm just putting the knowledge out there. If it works for people, they will find it valuable. If it doesn't work, it doesn't work. And so I don't go at it with any, I have no desire to sell it. And maybe that's part of the ease that.
I think so, because I think a lot of us just feel like we're being sold to all the time.
Yeah.
And coming into a situation like this where you place the knowledge there,
Right.
and that's all you do.
Right.
And it's up to us to decide whether or not we want to be a part of this. And if we are curious enough
Right.
to be a part of this and to really find out what this is about and how it can apply to our lives as well.
And I think that's an important point, because one of the things I learned or decided actually quite early on is that I'm not going to sort of insult the audience's intelligence, because all these people are really accomplished people who are coming there. They know what they want, and they know they have the ability to discern.
Yes.
And so all I have to do is put that knowledge in language and context that's easier to access. I'm not talking about, it is often a problem when you're dealing with very old ancient knowledge like this, that you can make it sound all very mystical and all of that stuff. So obviously one tries to stay away from that and to just the essence of the knowledge in as simple and currently contextual as possible, right? So that's what I do, and that's pretty much it.
Yeah. And these the people who come to these salons, as you said, they're very smart, and they've been around the block.
Right.
And at the same time, they're also curious as well. We get, us Westerners, we get so caught up in the 9 to 5, or for a lot of people, the 5 to 9.
Right.
And we're always looking for something different. We've got these desires, these, windows of knowledge that we've caught glimpses of, but we don't feel like we've got the space to investigate them.
Right.
And with the Leela Life salons, that window is opened up a little bit more.
Right.
And they can start a journey with all the parts of Leela Life and see what's on the other side of that window, and have that curiosity spoken to them in a way that makes them want to go out and find out more.
Right. And I think you've said it so well. Probably got to do with also the fact that you come from a communication world. You were an editor with Wall Street Journal and all of that. So how did that background, do you think that background played somewhat in the way you see the salons and how you got the benefit out of those?
As I spoke earlier, there was that journalistic skepticism that came to the fore, and because was part of my job for a long time.
Sure.
But at the same time, what was part of my job, and what is part of my job now, is to be curious, not to allow my skepticism tip into cynicism,
Right.
and not do anything.
Right.
But with the salons, there's that space to investigate this, as journalists do.
Right.
And if we can bring that curiosity, if we can have one question that acts as a splinter in our brain, we can pursue that. And I think there's that space with Leela Life, with the salons, where you can investigate that. And as I said, be put at ease with the questions that you have, and the way that you respond to them.
Right. Got it. So it'll be interesting to sort of go back a couple of steps. So so when you came into the salon, you had some expectation of what it would be. So what was reality like compared to your expectation?
The reality was really a sense of calm. I remember walking out of the salon that evening in, I guess, June or July, going, okay, this is something different. This is something that I think I want to pursue and dive into and see what this is like, and see how my way of sort of going about the world dovetails with Leela Life and the Indic well-being knowledge.
Right.
And having enough curiosity to check this out and see what it's like, kick the tires, as
Sure.
it were.
Sure.
And, what I found was it's like, it was a good fit. It was a good fit for me, good fit for who I am, and how I wanted to continue to be in the world.
Okay. All right. Okay. Let's touch upon the workbook that we've just come up with, right? So one of the sort of common observations that I had from people who attended the salon was saying, oh, there's so much to take in. This is all very interesting, and there's so much to take in. We need to process this once we go back home, and we want to make sure that we don't forget some of the stuff as we do that over the coming days and weeks and so on. And so there was a sort of a groundswell of a thing saying, can you put this down somewhere so that we can... So I put that down into a workbook, which is not just a summary of what I say, but also added a little bit so that you can reflect upon that, and you have spaces where you can jot down your reflections and so on. I know that you've picked up the book. So have you been able to use it, and how has it worked for you?
It's given me the opportunity to sort of think back to the questions that I had, to the notes that I took, and to really that workbook continues to give me the opportunity to reflect on the process and to see it as a process to understand, to try to deepen my understanding
Right.
of what Indic well-being knowledge is. And sometimes you find rabbit holes that you just continue to go down, and I do remember in that salon going, wow, this is a lot. This is a lot to take in.
Right.
And I think the workbook will help people start the process that. And, not just to take, notes and reflections where there's space for it, but also just jot down their reflections in the margins of the book.
Right.
And to understand how is this going to fit into my life? We're doing so much these days, and integrating, things like Leela Life. It's very important to at the beginning to have a workbook like that, to understand, like, okay, what's the on-ramp here? Where's the on-ramp that I can bring Leela Life in? And I think the workbook is a great place to start with that.
Got that. So it's a very early way of sort of connecting whatever you heard at the salon to the realities of your day-to-day, and just thinking about that and jotting it down. And maybe that helps you think about, okay, what should I actually now move forward? Should I move forward the blueprint? Should I... And all of that stuff. Okay, sounds good. Okay, now let's shift gears.
Sure.
I know you've moved into the blueprint process. So why did you decide to move forward?
Again, out of curiosity, it's like, how is all of this going to play a role in the next 6 months to a year in my life?
Right.
And how is the process going to work? I wanted to understand how the process of doing the blueprint and getting the results back, how's that going to integrate and fit in my life? I have to admit, there were many questions in the blueprint form about my childhood. And so that brought me back to a lot of good memories about my childhood and, growing up in small town Virginia. And it also, in the process of working with my guide and with the blueprint, you can start to see some through lines between how you were as a child and where you are now.
Got it. Okay.
Yeah. And how how one little incident when you're in Cub Scouts, for example, still sort of plays out in your life, even though you may not realize it. It's still there.
Got it.
It's still there. The ghost of that little thing when you're an 8-year-old kid can play a role.
And that's very much because there was a certain you at that point in time. And, we've kind of forgotten that you. So one of the things that, obviously the reason for those questions that hark back to childhood is because sort of the easiest place to discover one's innate qualities is often in childhood because you have had less of a journey of life. And so, most of what plays out when we are younger are our innate qualities. When we grow older, it's a bunch of other stuff as well that kind of gets mixed in. And so, so that was a journey of a little bit of discovery at some level for you.
Yes. And it also helped me remember that, even though I grew, as I was growing up and growing older, I got into journalism more. I was always a little bit of a science kid as well. But I also remember, thinking about the days where after school I would just go out into this field across the street from my house and play. And just play and run around. And remembering that there's still that part of me there. There's still that part of me that wants to daydream a little bit.
Right.
To have adventures.
Right.
To get lost in my mind.
Right.
In a good way. And I think one of the things for me now is trying to figure out how to get back into that. Get into that playfulness, that joy.
Right.
That, we all had as kids.
Right.
And that's feels like one of the next steps for me to figure out and have my guide help me guide that journey.
Right. In fact, that's what the name Leela means. Leela, as we've discussed before, in the Indic tradition actually means playful joy. It's a whole approach to living, which we tend to forget in the weight of life that we kind of put out on ourselves. We forget that there's a lightness to life which is also there. And so I think you're sort of alluding to that here, and that's interesting. Okay. So so you got into the blueprint process, and so what came out of that?
One thing was there is the form asked me about my birthplace and my birth time.
Right.
And it did, and with the experts that you have, they did an entire cosmic reading of that. And again, that journalism skepticism started, firing off. It's like, what is this? What's going on here?
Right.
But the thing was, when the reading came back, it was honestly kind of scary about how accurate it was. And I was like, I need time to process this. And I'm still processing that.
Right.
Because if I can't touch the table, I don't know how the table feels.
Right.
If that makes sense.
Yeah, absolutely.
And so with these cosmic, with the readings, it's like I still need time to wrap my head around it, and it's something I want to work with my guide as well.
Sure.
It's trying to understand. It's like, how did this get to be this accurate? It really pegged parts of me that I don't tell people.
Sure.
And with that kind of accuracy, it's kind of frightening.
Right.
It's kind of frightening.
And this is knowledge. This is pure ancient knowledge. It's continued for a long time. So we, as you know, we use 3 methods to arrive at your innate qualities. One of the methods is what we call cosmic influence. The other one is elemental composition of the human being. The other is the the pattern of energy flows that each one of us has. And the third one, of course, is one of them is cosmic influence. And again, it's not produced out of thin air. This is observation, structured observation over thousands of years, which is a simple point. It's exactly what modern science calls empiricism, which is what has been done in this case over thousands of years, which is this. You identify a human being, you find out the place and the time of birth, and that gives you the cosmology at the time of birth, which essentially means at that place, what was the cosmology at that time, which planets were where. And then you simply say, okay, what happened to this human being through life? And you document that over millions of human beings over thousands of years. Big data at a scale that we're starting to just simply understand in the world of AI, but done over thousands of years, passed through lineage, saying, oh, we observed all of these people and we are starting to see some patterns. It is pattern recognition, which is incidentally what AI is all about. It's all pattern recognition. So pattern recognition at that scale is really what enables that to become a science and a knowledge, which when applied produces fairly good results. And so I'm very happy to sort of expose that knowledge to the world, because and it's contextually relevant. What we are trying to do with that knowledge is to help you identify your innate qualities. We're not trying to predict your future or none of that stuff. We're simply using that in a very scientific way to say, knowledge-intensive way to say that given the cosmology at the time of your birth, these are likely to be your innate qualities. Simple.
Yeah. And with that simplicity, I can do with that data what I will with it. And there's no solution imposed on me, which I think would be wonderful for other people to experience.
Right.
Because there are a lot of times when outcomes and processes are predetermined in people's lives.
Right.
Going back to, you're told what school to go to, what college to go to, what job to take, what neighborhood to live in.
Right.
And here's this situation, a circumstance where there's this information about you that maybe you know intuitively, that now you can go, okay, what can I do with this now?
Right.
And what good can I do with this?
This is so true, because so while we take this and then take it onward, and we'll help you with identifying the focus area and what you can do with it for the moment. But this knowledge is actually a huge lifelong asset.
Yeah.
Right? Because now you have a good sense of who you truly are, which you've kind of forgotten over the journey of your life. It's not that you didn't know, it's just that you've forgotten it over the journey of your life, and you've kind of discovered it.
Yes.
And now that you have it, in a tangible form, you can go back to it at any point in time and sort of refresh that, and then approach life with that as a base.
It's not a one-time thing.
No.
It's not. And when you have that knowledge, you can do a lot of good with it.
Right.
And you can always go back to it.
Right.
You can always reference it.
Right.
You don't have to worry about, I forgot this particular part, what's going to happen now. It's like you can look back at your report
Right.
and see, okay, that's why I did that particular thing last week.
Right.
Oh, now I get it.
Right.
And I think when you have that kind of knowledge, you show up better in your life, in all aspects of your life, which is what Leela Life is going to help you do.
Right.
And that's something that's important for a lot of people here in New York City. They want to show up as well as they can, but they don't always have the tools.
Right.
And I think going to a salon, engaging in the blueprint process is going to help a lot of people in that regard.
And showing up well for life is very often simply about knowing who you are.
Yes.
Because once you know exactly who you are, it's just so intuitive and easy to show up for life in the best possible way.
Absolutely.
Because you're not fighting with yourself.
Right. Yes. Yes.
Right.
And that's what you see so much today is really underneath it all. It's people fighting against themselves.
Right.
And it causes a lot of stress and a lot of strain, not only for themselves, but the people around them.
Correct.
And with something like the blueprint and being able to work with your guide and go back and reference it, that struggle within yourself eases.
Correct. And when that struggle eases, life itself eases up.
It does.
Because a lot of that struggle is actually our struggle. We think it's the struggle with life, but very often it's us struggling with ourselves.
It's internal. It's very much an internal struggle. And I think having that blueprint is going to be an essential part of people's toolboxes,
Right.
especially in this city,
Right.
to do that.
Yeah. No, and I think in many of the cities in the world, in the modernity context that we all find ourselves in, of course, New York is a sort of probably an extreme end of that of that
Right.
world. But yes. Okay, that's very interesting. Now, so we talked about the salon, we talked about the blueprint experience, but you also had another experience, which is where, for the first time, when we launched the Circle and the Path, and we sort of did a pre-launch preview. But we didn't come at it just like that. You also had a few online experiences before that. We exposed you to some specialists who taught you certain things, and then led all the way to this week or last week having a what we call the pre-launch review of the Circle and the Path. So talk about all of that, all of the experiences online and physically that we did here.
The online parts were great, again, because even though they're, Zoom call or whatever, the cohort was small. It was still intimate.
Right.
Too many people get on these Zoom calls and there are 50 or 60 people, and you can't have good conversations.
Right.
And you can't have good experiences like that. And again, it brings people, Leela Life brings people from all over the world, really, to that. So you're exposed to other cultures, you're exposed to other people.
Right.
And I think having that ability to take part in online salons where, you don't necessarily have to travel, but you can take part in the comfort of your own home. It's, I think it's again, another way of easing people into the experience.
Right. And you also met with the whole, we had a few sessions with specialists that you had, right? So.
Yes. One online experience was this particular art experience. And I don't want to try to mangle the pronunciation of it, but it appealed to the logical person in me, because there were these drawings that you would be able to do, and there was a particular path to be able to do them. And what we created with the specialist was not just calming, but it was beautiful as well.
Right.
And we saw some of the the pieces, the creations that she made, which were stunning, just absolutely stunning. And there is a creative component to it, and there is a meditative part to it as well.
Right.
It's very, it's something that you can do, take 15 to 20 minutes to do, and you come out of that 15 minutes and just, I wouldn't say bliss, but you're so much calmer and relaxed after.
Correct. So you're referring to the art called kolam, which is a very ancient art done by hand, which is just drawing patterns, very intricate patterns.
Very.
Originally using actually rice powder, but this taught to our clients using, of course, pen and paper. But you start to, and the purpose of bringing that for our people was to help with a specific thing, which is to help people learn to dissolve.
Yes.
Where they forget about themselves for some time,
Mm-hmm.
and then gradually, as they learn that art, they can go ahead and learn that art with this person if they so choose to, and then bring that into their life. They will have this opportunity to keep doing that, and slowly start experiencing dissolve, which is a small experience that you had online.
Yes, and the experience was, when you talk about dissolving, it's strange because you sort of felt at one with the experience,
Right.
even though our expert was thousands of miles away.
Right.
There was this closeness that you felt while you were doing the exercise, and it seemed to spark enough curiosity in some people to actually want to do this, continue to do this after the session was over. And so that's really good as well, where it exposes people to an experience that they haven't had before, and it's an experience that is enriching for them.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I found that very fulfilling for myself as well, just in terms, and I've done a lot of this stuff, but it's just wonderful to. And I think a lot of people mentioned this point that you just said, which is that even though the specialist was so far away, the instructor, but everybody felt a bond.
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. I think we all really enjoyed the spirit that she brought to the exercise. And I think that spirit helped people be curious enough to want to check it out on their own.
And this is an interesting thing, because when we curate these specialists, we've now met, I don't know, maybe 3,000 to 4,000 specialists and brought it down to 150 or something like that. One of the things we look for is that spirit, that combination of authenticity and empathy, which is what we call the Leela Life spirit. It's not easy to get, but once you get it, it's magic. And so that was the example. So she wasn't, for example, very fluent in English. She but it was more than made up for the fact that there was a different communication that was going on, and it was incredibly powerful.
Absolutely. And that was just a bump. It was just a bump because, again, her spirit, her enthusiasm, her joy came through in what she did and how she did it.
Right.
And that's the language that connected everybody in that experience.
Got it.
Yeah.
Okay. Very nice. Very nice. Okay, so let's now step back from all of this.
Okay.
Right. So now you've had a Leela Life thing. You've done salon. You've done the blueprint. You've had various exposure to what we call the circle and the path. So when you step back, what does Leela Life mean to you, and what has it done for you, and what do you think it will mean for you as you go forward?
Ooh. What's it done for me so far? I think it's given me another window on living, on how to live, and it makes the journey that I'm on, in my business and in my life, a little less scary, because there's something else I can plug into that reminds me of that joy exists right now.
So well said. So
it doesn't have to be conditional. And I think a lot of times in life we don't do something because we're waiting for the quote unquote right conditions.
Right.
When the right conditions come,
then you will have joy.
Exactly. And
it doesn't have to be that.
It doesn't have to be that way. It's that joy is accessible right now.
Right.
And that's something that I want to continue to remember as I go through my own journey, and having the guides at Leela Life helped me get through and remind me to access it
Right.
as well.
Right. Let's spend a minute on the guide experience that you've had, right? So you've met the Leela Life guide and during the blueprint. Of course, before that, you met me at the salon.
Yes.
Then you saw the people of Leela Life. So what's been, take a minute to talk about that, just the people and the the interaction that you had with the people.
It's been incredible. I mean, everyone connected with it. You, to Nishan, to my guide. There's a commitment to making sure that the experience is the best that it can be. And there's also a calm. I keep coming back to that word. There is a calm within the entire group where you all feel like, islands in the storm, as it were, and where we can relax. Again, there are so many places and so many times in our lives where we can't do that.
Right.
Where it's very difficult to do that.
Right.
And knowing that there is something like Leela Life out there, and the people who make that calm possible.
Right.
And for the people, in New York and in other places who are looking for that kind of calm, it's here with Leela Life. And knowing that I think will help people, I think, put their skepticism away a little bit more. And it's like, because there's so many times and so many places where we're just going, doesn't feel like we have a minute to be calm. But whenever I have interacted with any part of Leela Life, from the online guides, or, on the calls, to the in-person events that I've done, it's like it's an island of calm every time. Every time, which is, and how you all have been able to pull that off here in New York City is incredible. It really is. Yeah.
Very often I think that if we are inherently calm, then the more chaos there is outside, the more calm there is possible. It's almost it's almost that way sometimes, because the calm shows up even more.
Yes.
Because there's a maelstrom going.
There's a hurricane going on, and it's sort of when your group is there, and if you sort of feel this odd pull, with the traffic of Manhattan and the people,
Sure.
and you get pulled in to it, and everything just falls away for a little while.
Which is great. And
Yes.
and I think the intention over time is to enable you to tap into that for yourself.
Yes.
So you don't have to depend on anybody. It's you. That's your state.
Yes.
And as that state builds, you will then in turn give that to everybody around you.
Yes.
And that's powerful. Just the
Yeah.
sheer presence allowing for that calm
Right.
to happen.
Yes. And I think, knowing that you're able to produce that within yourself is powerful. And I'm a big believer in resiliency. And I think that resiliency is dependent on calm. In chaos and in maelstroms, can you be the anchor that you need, and can you be the anchor that other people need as well?
And one of the very interesting things about calm is, if you have joy, calm is a consequence. If you go, it's like sleep.
Yeah.
If you go looking for sleep, you probably won't get sleep. If you just the same way with joy. You go looking, I want joy. You probably won't get joy. You certainly won't get calm.
Yeah.
So when joy comes, calm follows as a kind of consequence to that. And I think that's one of the powerful lessons of the Indic well-being world.
And that's a great consequence to have.
Yeah,
It really is.
absolutely.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's wrap this up with a final thing. So, for people who haven't interacted with Leela Life at all, who are possibly listening to us or watching this at this point, any thoughts, comments, suggestions for them as they sort of think about this before they even get into Leela Life?
Be curious. Be curious. And it's okay to be skeptical. It's okay to, wonder about this. And as I've mentioned before, you met my skepticism with calm. And you met my skepticism with curiosity as well. And it's okay to bring that. It's okay to bring that. And this is a space where that will be met with curiosity. And it's one of these things where the answer, you've got the answer. Whoever walks into the salon, they have the answer. And you help facilitate that.
To come back to that answer.
To come back to that answer. So I would, I encourage people to bring your skepticism. It's okay. And bring your curiosity as well.
Got it. Both at the same time.
Yes, both at the same time.
Got it. All right.
Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you, Richard. I think that was a
Hari.
wonderful conversation. And once again, as always, thank you very much.
Thank you, Hari. I really enjoyed the conversation today. Thank you.